Effective communication with the media and career planning. Part 1. Effective communication with the media. The main purpose of interviews with athletes is to get an insight into their personal lives and to discuss any issues that they may have in sport. Performance analysis. The purpose of performance analysis is to give the public an insight on how the athlete believes that the competition went from a professional view. This could be a match, race, or any other form of competition in sport. Responding to controversial incidents. If an athlete has done something that some members of the public view as being bad, then by responding to it in a positive way can show them that the athlete is sorry and regrets doing it. This also helps to keep up their appearance as a role model as they are apologising for things that they have done wrong. Promoting ambassador work done by the athlete. Promoting any ambassador work that the athlete does gets not only them but the sport and club noticed and gives the public and supporters a positive view of them. Enhancing their status and attracting sponsors. If the athlete is new to the professional sport, then their club may want to get them noticed by the public. To do this, they could set up interviews to get to know the athlete. The different types of interviews that athletes are required to do are newspapers, television, radio, internet, magazines, and social media such as Facebook and Twitter. Live interviews. The things that can be covered in a live interview are the immediate reactions to certain events. For example, a pre-game interview where the athlete is asked what their predictions are for the upcoming game. These types of interviews can also be done during or after an event has taken place. Pre-recorded. These types of interviews are usually planned beforehand. This is so that the athlete knows what they are going to say about specific events which have taken place. This gives them time to think about the answers that they are going to give and also means that they can be more objective. Effective communication with the media and significant others. Verbal communication is when you communicate using words and phrases. This is the most common type as most people are able to communicate in this way. It is used in both live and pre-recorded interviews. Some examples of the types of interviews that it is used in is television, radio and internet live chats. When doing interviews, whether they are live or pre-recorded, the athlete needs to refrain from doing the following things. Swearing, as this can give them a bad reputation and most people do not like it. The athlete also needs to think that there could be young children watching and it is inappropriate. Using slang terms, as not everyone could know what they mean and therefore won't be able to understand what the athlete is talking about. Being sarcastic, because there could be people that take it in the wrong way if they do not have the same sense of humour, and it could be another way that the athlete gets a bad reputation. Laughing or joking inappropriately, because it can have the same consequences as being sarcastic. Talking too much and rambling, as it can become boring if there is no point or it takes too long to get to it, which will result in viewers and listeners stop paying attention. Interrupting, as the athlete can get a bad reputation of being rude. When doing interviews on things like radio shows, the athlete is not able to be seen by the listeners. The following things are things that they need to make sure they do in these situations. However, they also need to think about them in other interviews too to make the interview as professional as possible. The first is speaking clearly so that listeners can hear and understand what they are saying first time. Being ambiguous, meaning that they are open to more than one interpretation of something, which shows that they are open-minded about different views. Concise, meaning that they don't talk too much and bore their listeners. Their choice of vocabulary, which is linked to the sport that they are in or talking about, which shows an understanding of the game or event and its rules. Speaking at a steady pace throughout the interview links with speaking clearly. It means that the listeners and viewers are able to hear and understand what the athlete is saying first time. If they speak too slow, it can become boring and people will stop listening, and if they speak too quickly, then the viewers can miss what they are saying. Closed questions. These are questions that the person who is answering the question can only answer with a yes or no answer. They do not feel that they have to explain or add to their answer. This is a bad type of question to ask in an interview as it does not encourage the athlete to explain their view or answer, which usually leaves gaps in their knowledge of the people watching or listening. An example of a closed question is, would you say that the game went well? Open questions. These are questions that are asked to make the person who is answering them expand on their answers and give you a longer one. It gives you more to work on when asking the next question to the person. If you are not prepared, or their answer gives you a better question to ask them afterwards. An example of an open question is, how well do you think the game went today, and do you think there is anything that could have been done to improve it? Non-verbal communication is simply communicating without the use of words. The following are examples of non-verbal communication. Gestures. If the athlete has their arms crossed, then it can give off a defensive attitude and seems as though they are trying to hide something. Body language and posture. If the athlete has a good body language, then it shows a positive attitude and that they are interested. A good body language can be shown by the athlete sitting up straight with their head up. Negative attitudes can also be shown, which can make the athlete look like they aren't interested, bored, or they are being rude. This can be done by them doing things such as fidgeting. Eye contact. If the athlete is avoiding eye contact with the interviewer, then it can show that they have a lack of confidence, that they are not interested in the interview, or that they are lying. However, too much eye contact can be uncomfortable for both the interviewer and the audience. Written interviews. These are things such as magazines or newspaper articles. Written communication. These are things such as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, where they may be answering questions from fans or other members of the public. An athlete's appearance matters mainly for interviews where they will be seen on camera, such as the ones in this slide. They should dress in smart or appropriate clothing for the situation. For example, if they are doing a publicity interview for their club or sport, then it may be appropriate for them to wear some of their club uniform, such as jackets. The athlete should also appear clean and tidy, for example, be clean shaven and be wearing minimal amounts of jewellery or makeup. Comparing the differences between communicating with different types of media and significant others. Being interviewed for a live broadcast and for a news article is very different. In the news article interview, then some things will be able to be cut out if they go wrong. For example, if you get confused and say the wrong thing at the wrong time. On the other hand, live interviews cannot be changed, so the athlete has to be very careful with what they say so that they don't get looked down on for it. Another difference is that the athlete is able to prepare themselves better for an interview, such as news articles or radio interviews, whereas TV interviews are harder because they usually ask questions about subjects that happened a long time ago in the sport, so you have less time to prepare your answer. Significant others are people such as the public, fans, employers, managers, coaches, officials, agents, sponsors, and teammates. Athletes should always treat significant others with respect and try to create a positive relationship with them. Employers give them their jobs, so they won't want to have a bad relationship with them. Sponsors increase their public appearance, so the athletes should do what they tell them and go to any meetings that come up. Managers pick the athletes that they want to be in the team or drop them if they are not performing well, so they should respect any decisions that are made without questioning them. Agents oversee an athlete's personal affairs, which are things like their contracts, sponsorship deals, and organising events for the athlete to address or raise their public profile. When athletes have interviews with possible sponsors, then they dress and act differently to if they were in an interview that is being shown to the public. Firstly, the whole interview will be more formal. For example, in a formal style room where they cannot be disrupted. They are also likely to be wearing a smart suit so that they can show them that they are professional. The athlete will also have to speak in a formal way, which means that they will refrain from making too many jokes or using sarcasm to answer questions. Planning for interviews. Planning for an interview can involve the following things. Firstly, thinking about what questions might be asked. If it's a post-match interview, then the athlete could be asked how they think the match went. If they plan some possible answers to this question beforehand, then it allows them to be prepared for any outcome and to be able to answer that question confidently without saying anything that they shouldn't. Thinking about the audience. If the athlete is speaking to an audience of adults, then they can use more difficult terms, whereas if they're speaking to an audience of children, then they are likely not to understand these, so they need to use simpler terms that they will understand. You can also have some examples that you can show them if you are talking about things such as skills. Rehearsals. After planning answers to possible questions, the athlete should practice them before the interview starts so that they are confident in what they are saying. Using scripts and prompt sheets. This gives the athlete a backup plan if they forget what they are going to say for a question which refers to a certain topic. It also gives the athlete confidence in knowing that if they do forget what they are saying, that there is something to help them which eases their nerves and makes the interview run more smoothly. Part 2. Career planning. The importance of planning your career and having a backup. Athletes need to plan for becoming a professional in their sport. They must have a clear understanding of what they want to be and how they are going to get there. However, they also need to have ideas of what they would want to do if anything happened to them that will cause them to have to take an early retirement from competitive sport. Some of the reasons that an athlete will need a backup career are for the following. They become unwell with a long-term illness, receive an injury from participating in their sport, such as a severely broken leg, which stops them from being able to compete, being part of accidents which leave them unable to perform in their sport, getting to the end of their contract and not being able to sign another one, falling out with their club or coaches, and going into retirement from competitive sport. Some popular careers that ex-athletes go into are as follows: sports coaching, managing, sports journalism or presenting, sport or PE teaching, sports development officer, physiotherapist, or a sports scientist. Goal setting and SWOT analysis. Goal setting is important because it means that the athlete knows where they are currently, what they are working towards, and what they are going to need to do to improve their weaknesses. These goals then help them to achieve their optimal performance in their sport or backup careers. To achieve their goals, the athlete needs to have persistence. This means that they need to keep trying even if they feel that their goal is too hard to achieve at some times. Attention, which means that they stay focused on achieving their goals. Effort, which means that they try hard to complete their goals in the set amount of time that they have. And finally, strategies, which are the ways that the athlete can achieve their goals. SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. Strengths are all of the things that the athlete is good at. Weaknesses are all of the things that the athlete lacks or need to improve. Opportunities are all of the options that the athlete has to be able to do something. And finally, threats are the things that can stop the athlete from carrying out their plans and completing their goals. When carrying out a SWOT analysis, the athlete and those who may be helping them need to look at the skills that they currently possess and the ones which they need to develop to be able to move on to the next task. These skills fit into 4 categories. Technical skills, which are all of the techniques that the athlete can and cannot perform, for example, certain skills in the sport such as passing on target. Practical skills, which are things that they can use outside of playing the sport, such as coaching, teaching or instructing. Key skills, which are additional skills which are useful for lots of different tasks. These are things like IT, communication and teamwork skills. Basic skills. These are common skills that most people have, such as English and Maths, GCSEs, BTECs and A-levels. Both goal setting and SWOT analysis help an athlete to plan their career because they outline what the athlete can and can't do. With this information, they can look at goals and backup careers which will fit into what the athlete is already good at. They can also work out what needs to be improved for them to be able to achieve their goals and what obstacles stand in the way of this happening. For example, if their coaching and communication skills need improving for what their backup career needs, then this can be worked on and not forgotten about and left until it's too late. Short, medium and long-term goals. Short-term goals last for around 1 month, medium-term goals last from 1 month up to 6 months, and long-term goals last from 6 months up to years. Hannah's strength is that she has good passing skills. She is able to pass the ball using the best pass for the situation at the right time in front of the other player. This then allows that player that she is thrown to be able to get further up the court each time so that less passes have to be used to get the ball into the shooting circle. This then means that there is less chance of it being intercepted by the other team. Her weakness is that she has bad agility. This means that she finds it hard to get into space and to be able to receive the ball, meaning that she is not always able to help her team as much as she should be able to as a centre player. Whilst watching her games, I saw that she was looking for spaces to get into. However, when it came to getting to them, she wasn't always able to move around other players on the court quick enough to get to where she needed to be to receive the ball. Hannah has the facilities and equipment at the college to be able to help her to improve her agility. For example, she has the sports hall, tennis or netball courts and the field. She also has lots of equipment at the college which she is able to use. Hannah has Osgood scleratus disease. This means that she has bone problems underneath her knees. This may stop her from achieving her goal of improving her agility because it could become painful for her if she practices for too long. Another threat to Hannah is that she might not have time during her college and working hours to be able to spend time on improving her agility. The backup career that I have chosen is a sports coach. Qualifications. Health science, sports coaching, sports management and sports science are all useful qualifications if you want to become a sports coach. However, the only way that you can become a qualified sports coach is by getting the appropriate coaching qualification. These are given by the national governing body for the sport that they want to coach. Training. The youngest that you have to be able to start the training to become an assistant sports coach or leader is 16 years old, so Hannah will be fine to start this now as she is 17. Different courses can take different lengths of time to complete. For example, there are full-time, part-time or taken by distance courses. Some higher education sports-related courses also have the opportunity to get coaching qualifications with the academic degree programme. Work experience. The main ways to get into sports coaching are through volunteering and part-time work. Getting involved in coaching at a regional level is advisable. This is because it shows that you have an interest in it, especially if you aren't getting paid to do it. It also gives you or increases your confidence in speaking to large groups of people and being able to handle them effectively. Volunteering can also be a way into full-time employment, because if you are volunteering for a company and they think that you are good, then they might offer you a full-time job. Time. There are 3 different courses on the England Netball website which you can look at. These are as follows. Level 1. This course lasts for 2 days from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. and costs £180. Level 2. This course lasts for 5 days, again from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. and costs £395. Level 3. This course lasts for 6 days and costs £1,200. There is more information on the England Netball website for all of the courses listed above. Pay. The hourly rate for coaches who work with individual athletes or amateur teams start off at around £10 an hour. The typical salary for a newly qualified coach who is working for their local authority ranges from £15,000 to £25,000. For senior coaches who work for the national governing bodies or professional sports clubs is £30,000 to £35,000. If you are an experienced coach who works at the highest level of coaching, then you could be earning £100,000. Applying. There are lots of ways in which you can apply for a job in sports coaching. For example, if you know of a place which coaches sport or sports that you have got qualifications in coaching, then you can go and speak to them to see if you can get either a job or a trial beforehand. Another example is looking on a job website for any that are in your area or in an area that you can get to. Most places require you to have at least a level 1 qualification, first aid certificate, DBS certificate and a driver's licence. Barriers. These are things that can stop the athlete from achieving their goal. The main barrier that Hannah could face is not having a level 1 coaching qualification or the level which they are asking for. This would mean that she would have to look at getting one before she starts the job. A barrier with this is that she may not be able to pay for it at the time, which means that she might have to get another job until she can, and then look for another sports coaching job afterwards.